So, this week you've been learning about how rhythms, or patterns of short and long sound, add interest to the beat. They add flavor, sway, and spice. That's the reason we call some forms of dancing salsa. But rhythms do much more than that. Rhythms also make it easier to count or keep track of the beat. Counting beats is just like measuring inches of fabric for a dress or tallying teaspoons for a recipe. You don't just keep doing it, you do the right amount, in the right place, at the right time. Keeping track of the beat is really important in music, especially when you're making music with others. In addition to knowing when to start and stop the music, counting helps us to know when certain important things are meant to happen. It may be a cymbal crash, or the entrance of a new voice or instrument. Counting helps us do the right thing at the right time. That may seem hard to you, constantly keeping count, but actually it's a built-in skill or an instinct. In fact, there are quite a few animals that count and use counting in a similar way to know when and where to do certain things. Did you know animals can count? It turns out, keeping track of beats and rhythm cycles is really important for animals every day, including many in Hood Canal. Here to tell us more is our friend Lucas Marin from the Hood Canal Salmon Center.
Hello everyone, I'm Lucas with the Salmon Center. Today we are wondering if animals count, and if so, how? This one really got me thinking, but then I remembered that animals actually count all the time. I have a few different examples for you today, but I'm sure there's more that you can find yourself. Animals count in many different ways. One way that most animals count is by paying attention to the photoperiod each day. Photoperiod is a fancy term that means the number of hours of daylight in a day, or the amount of time that the sun is up. For example, this morning, if the sun rose at 7 o'clock and sets at 8 o'clock tonight, that would make our photoperiod about 13 hours. By keeping track of that time every day, animals who migrate or change location or change behavior throughout the year know when to start their journeys or when to change their habits. As the day gets shorter, birds know it's time to fly south to warmer areas, so they have good food to eat all winter long. And as days get longer, they know to fly north again to have offspring. So they actually keep track of the time that the sun is up in order to inform those decisions. Another way that some birds count is by judging the number of eggs that they lay. There are two types of layers. Ones that always lay the same number of eggs. For example, bald eagles can only lay 2 eggs. Then there are birds that can continue to lay until their number is met. Nesting females can count the number of eggs they lay using their brood patch, which is a patch on their belly that doesn't have any feathers on it. They use that patch to feel their eggs and to transfer warmth to their eggs while they incubate them in their nest. So they can also count the number of eggs with that sense and keep laying until that number is attained. That way, if one falls out of the nest or another animal eats an egg, they can actually replace it and they can tell when they've reached that number. That way they keep their nest nice and full. Another animal that counts very well and is usually right on time is our Pacific salmon. These fish are born in our rivers, incubate in the gravel, emerge as alevin, and head downstream as fry, and do so on a very strict schedule. They spend about 6 months to a year doing that, depending on the different species of salmon, but each species always spends the same amount of time in those steps. Once they hit the salt water, they spend a few weeks acclimating to the salt, and then when they're out at sea, they spend exactly 4 years growing, eating, and swimming around 3,000 miles before they return. This timer is basically hardwired into them, and very few don't make that schedule. While those are a few examples of how animals count, the important thing to remember is that they do it very easily. It's so easy for them that they don't even have to think about it. It's an instinct. And soon, you'll be the same way. Have a great day.